This is how narcissists use sex as a weapon to gain what they want. Many forms of narcissistic sex weaponization exist. Aside from using it as a means of control, they will also inflict severe emotional and mental harm on you. Welcome, everyone. Today's episode will focus on decoding the tactics employed by narcissists. What does it mean to have sexual violence perpetrated on you, and how has it affected you as a survivor? To ensure you don't miss a thing, click the subscribe button and the bell icon so you may be alerted when I upload something new to this channel. I've seen that narcissists sometimes put on an air of fakeness. As a result, the term fake intimacy applies here. There is sex, to be sure, but no genuine or lasting relationship. Though enjoyable, the sexual content is ultimately unremarkable. Besides the sexual act itself, it has little significance. It's entirely up to you to decide whether or not the sexual encounter indicates an actual romantic connection between the two of you. However, this thing doesn't exist in the narcissist world. There is a sensation that the narcissist is sort of acting out a role or duplicating an image they have seen, and that actually just about anybody can play your position in their adventure, despite the fact that you may think, here I am having sex with the narcissist, and it is enjoyable and everything. Eventually, you may come to see that almost anyone could have acted in your place. It's possible that you'll have a profound sense of connection with this person. It's possible the narcissist will try to get you to believe that. A Me Too response is possible. However, you should not attribute any of those emotions to them, but to yourself. You're imagining that they are like that. When the going gets tough, you'll see that for what it is. Understanding the importance of sexual intimacy and healthy relationship is crucial for comprehending the effects of sexual trauma and how a narcissist uses sex as a weapon. Sexual closeness strengthens relationships between people on multiple levels, not just the physical. It strengthens their emotional ties, allowing them to learn about each other more deeply. Eventually, they come to terms with their own selves, sense each other's presence. It makes both parties feel closer to one another and more fulfilled. This, in turn, strengthens the bond. Now that I've laid out the case, you can see why sexual intimacy is crucial to maintaining a healthy relationship. It can wreak havoc on a couple's relationship if it's lacking or off. Let us now attempt to comprehend the narcissist, their use of narcissism, and the asymmetry and abnormality of the sex life of the narcissist. The narcissist will use sexual encounters on the street as a weapon. This explains why they have 5 sex practices and 5 sex uses to turn this into a lethal weapon. To begin with, they view sex as secondary to other goals. Some narcissists are able to generate strong sexual attraction at the outset of a relationship. At first, the love bombing phase of your relationship feels like the best sex you've ever had. And as the devaluation progresses, the narcissist treats you like garbage and may begin withholding sex immediately. In other words, there is no longer any sexual tension between you. Now you no longer have any sensation. You notice the intensity has decreased and worry that something is amiss. You might start to question your worth, beauty, and body image, which could have a lasting effect on your self-confidence. As they pull away, the negative thoughts you've developed about yourself due to your personality, their gaslighting, and their manipulation only strengthen. The more you feel alone, the more you long for the closeness you shared with them at the outset. Relationships based on more than just physical attraction must also have deep emotional ties. This is the process of depreciation. You pursue them while also making efforts to better yourself. More concessions are made in the hopes that equilibrium will be restored, or at least that you will once again recognize this person as the one you first met. The sexual connection and closeness you share with a narcissist increase the perceived intensity of sexual encounters, which is how sex is weaponized. Also, you give it much more weight than it deserves in your mind. Why? Because having a sexual encounter with the narcissist is the moment when you finally feel like you have a connection with them again, and because this sexual encounter is the narcissist's concept of connection. In a relationship with a narcissist, this feeling of normalcy is used as a weapon later on when you begin to crave the narcissist's attention once more and want more of it as a means of shaming you. You know, labeling you with labels like sex addict or sexually addicted. You're a cleaning mess who does a lot of things better than they can. But you must comprehend the brain harm, psychological damage, and addiction procedure at play. Feeling ashamed is made possible by the sexual connection practically taking over the regulatory role of the neurological system. There is a lack of attention to you from them. From you, they hand out. They don't provide it to you, and it makes you feel even more split apart. In the end, the connection, the definition of connection, and the experience of connection are reduced to the sexual connection, and this causes a shift in your personality. Then they're in a position of power and will exploit this one thing to coerce you into doing bad things. As a result, once you've established this dependence and have come to nearly rely on them, all you want is a small token of their continued interest or support so that you may feel secure and avoid the agony of being abandoned. Strange requests are made of you. You're expected to furnish them with photos of yourself naked. They build a traumatic relationship through sex by subjecting you to sexual abuse to the extent that you would never accept otherwise. You probably have some idea of the strange stuff I'm referring to. Taking pictures and making videos and posting them online. In a relationship, all of this seems incomprehensible, yet you end up with this. Your character shifts continue. Do you begin to blame yourself? There's a distancing and a dissociating from your own identity. The depths you've sunk to are not representative of your true nature. Your ideas are different from theirs. By forcing you to act in ways you wouldn't have before or in the narcissist's absence, this type of sex goes well beyond the norm and can cause severe psychological and traumatic harm. Let's return to the earlier mentioned held-back punishments. A narcissist may withhold it as a form of punishment. Assume they have asked you to perform something you aren't prepared to undertake, or that your words have hurt your narcissistic ego. What do they do to you to punish you? If they have formed a bond based on sexual reliance or sexual trauma, they may refuse to give it to you without much pleading, and they receive satisfaction at the end of the day. Inflicting pain on another person is a means to restore their sense of power over the situation. If you investigate the sexual relationship further, you will notice that it is somewhat mechanical. There may have been a tender moment or two in the beginning, but now it seems like they've reduced it to a robotic act of having sex with themselves. They acquire energy from the compliments you give them and the way you respond to their performances. And because they know you'll be there whether they treat you well or not, sexually or otherwise, they begin to treat you like a collection of pieces assembled into a pool of flesh for their own pleasure. As a means to satisfy their own desires, and your wants are completely ignored, you wouldn't dare ask why now that you've had your way of thinking altered. You have been emotionally and cognitively taught to accept this behavior because you've been led to believe that at least I get this, or at least they do this. You might tell yourself things like, well, they have sex with me, which implies they're still attached to me, or at least I get to have sex with them. Since your brain is so good at making a mountain out of a molehill, that right there is the mental acrobatics at play here. This is why I warned at the beginning of the video that sex cab is used for more than simply overt control and can alter the person using it. In the aftermath of narcissistic abuse, you may have a resurgence of desires for sexual closeness, a symptom of the trauma you experienced at the time. Realize that shame isn't something you have to feel. It's just how your brain is wired. Your sexual life served as your compass. In some ways, this is what caused your trauma. And gradually, as you gain insight into the narcissist's true character and personality, your brain will change, your biochemistry will change, and you will essentially change and let go. If you found this video helpful, I would love to hear your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. Till we meet again, we may continue our healing. Have a nice day.